Welcome back, everybody. Today is July 15th, and I am so glad that you are joining me for our daily Bible reading. We are going to be reading from the Day by Day Kids Bible, written by Karen Henley. And if you are following along on our commitment calendar, it's time to take that out in your sticker or whatever you're using to mark that off because you're about to hear the Bible today. When I got to my station here this evening, I'm doing this at night here today. Um, I noticed that my microphone was unplugged. So I checked out yesterday's recording and it looks like it did not use my standard microphone. It used my webcam microphone. So I want to apologize for the echoey sound that was on yesterday, July 14th recording. I usually do some kind of a check, but I was in a great hurry to get to work yesterday, and I did not do that. And I did not notice that my microphone had come unplugged. So I wanted to say I was sorry for the echoey sound after I checked out the video and went, oh man, that's not the way I would have kept it if I had realized that it was like that. So thank you for bearing with me. You know that these are just me doing the videos, so I do my very best. So thank you for your grace on that. I'm so glad that you're joining me, whether you are following along on your podcast or whether you're watching the video. And I hope that you are enjoying this year's journey through the entire Bible and are enjoying understanding the great big picture of God's story for us. We are reading in the book of Job, and we are going to be picking up here today. And today's verses are going to cover Job chapter 32, 33, 35, 36, and 37. And today we are going to hear from a third man who is not listed as one of Job's friends, but he is there in attendance with them. So here we go. We're going to start with our first section, which is entitled, Do I Have to Wait? Job's three friends stopped talking to him because Job kept saying he was right. But a young man named Elihu got very angry at Job. And he was angry at Job's three friends, too. They hadn't found any way to make Job say he was wrong, and instead, Job had told them they were wrong. Elihu had waited to talk, and that's because the other men were older than he was. And now he saw that they didn't have much to say, so he got angry. And this is what he said. I am young, and you are old, so I didn't dare tell you what I know. But it's God who makes people wise. It's not just old people who are wise. I listened to you, but nobody showed that Job is wrong. Listen to my words now, Job. I tell the truth about what I know. You said you didn't sin. I heard it myself. You said your heart was clean, but God was blaming you. I say you are not right to talk like this. God is greater than people. So why do you fuss at him? Why do you say he doesn't answer people? God does speak. Sometimes he speaks one way, and sometimes he speaks another way. People might not know he is speaking. He might speak in their ears in a dream at night. He might scare them to keep them from doing wrong. He might scare them to keep them from dying. He might even send pain. But an angel may say, "Save this person. I have found a way to pay for his sins." And then God makes everything right again. Then the person will say that he sinned. But God did not pay him back for the wrong he did. God saved him, and he will live now, and he will enjoy the light. Nobody can understand. You say that doing right does not do you any good, said Elihu. You ask what good it does not to sin. What if you sin? What does that do to God? It's yourself you hurt when you sin. It's other people you help when you do what is right. God is great, and nobody can understand how God sets out the clouds. He fills his hands with lightning. He tells it where to go where he sends it. God's thunder tells that a storm is coming. Even the cows know it's coming. My heart beats hard when I hear it. Listen. Listen to his voice roar. God lets his lightning come out of the sky. He sends it all over the earth. Then his roar sounds. He thunders with his great voice. He tells the snow, fall on the earth. He tells the rain, fall hard. Then all people can know God's power. His rain stops people from working. The animals have to stay dry, so they stay in their dens. The storm comes out of its room and the cold blows out of the blowing wind. God's breath brings the ice and the water freezes. Listen, Job. Stop and think about God's wonders. God knows everything. The land is quiet in the hot south wind, and you are hot in your clothes. Can you help God paint the sky? Can you make it look hard like a metal mirror? Tell us what to say to God. We can't say anything because we don't know anything. God is higher than we can reach. So finally, we have someone who is pointing out that God is wonderful and we can't understand everything, but God absolutely does speak. He says, why do you fuss at him? Why do you say he doesn't answer people? God does speak. And Elihu was wise to point out that it is God who makes people wise. It is not just old people who are wise. You don't just become wise simply by being old. I'm sure we can know many older people who don't possess wisdom. And they were taking it upon themselves, the friends and Job, to say that they were older, so they were wiser. And he is saying that just because he is young doesn't mean he isn't wise, because it is God who brings wisdom. And we know that that is so, don't we? So he speaks with a good deal of wisdom. And he points out that doing right helps other people. And that when we sin, what does that do to God? It's ourselves we hurt when we sin. Isn't that interesting? This may be one of the very oldest stories in the Bible that occurred. And he is speaking wisdom. He is speaking about things that we have learned about in our daily applications. Each one of these things are things that we have read about and learned about in our daily applications. I'm not sure we had one specifically on God speaking, but we know that God does speak to us. In fact, I'm pretty sure we did. And he is so right. God speaks to everybody in differently. He speaks to some people through appearing with an angel. He has sent angels to talk to people. He has sent them, some of them, visions. Sometimes people will hear a voice. And sometimes it may be that he is speaking to you in your mind. And I know for me, I know that I've been a believer for a very long time. I'm 48 now, and I've been a believer since I was at least 16. I've always believed in God even when I was younger, but I could say that my rebirth, my born again date, was when I was 16. And I I cannot say that prior to that time I ever felt that I heard God's voice speaking to me or really felt his presence the way I started to. Um, I'm not sure how many years ago it's been. Maybe 15 years ago now. Maybe 10 years ago now. And God's presence is what I could feel. And I was And I always believed in God and I prayed to God and I was always seeking God and wanting to do God's will. And at this point, I had been raising my daughter in the faith and we'd always gone to church and she may have already even been baptized. And I know I'd already been baptized when I was 23 or so. And yet, despite that fact, I can't say that I ever really felt that I heard God speaking to me. And once I started to feel God's presence and that he was speaking to me, it was very alarming because I just didn't know that that was possible. I had believed in him for so long and I trusted him, but I can't say as I ever remembered feeling his presence with me. And when I started to feel God's presence with me and to feel that he was talking to me, I felt like I was going crazy. And I remember being at a Bible study and someone asked me how I was. And I said, I'm either on the verge of a breakthrough or a breakdown because I really thought that I was just must be going crazy because certainly God couldn't be talking to me. And he was. And he was making his presence known to me. And it was absolutely incredible. Even now, sometimes God's presence can just be very overwhelming. But at least I recognize it now and I don't feel like I'm going crazy like I did before. And that's exactly what I felt like. I felt like I was going crazy. So I share this because if you have never felt God's presence or have felt God speaking to you and you feel like God doesn't speak to us, I want you to know that he does. And he speaks to everybody. He can speak to people how they need to be spoken to. And I would say God spoke to me very delicately because he knew if I had received something like, a vision or something or an angel. I mean, I was already scared to death that I was losing my mind just with his very presence approaching me. So it was very delicate the way he handled me, I would say. So now I have no difficulty in terms of accepting that God is speaking to me, and I talk with him throughout the day, and I listen for him to tell me about different things, and it's almost like a conversation, and it's wonderful. I love having that, and so that's part of our daily application today is that Elihu gave us a number of really good points that we want to take away today. One is that God absolutely does speak today, not just thousands and thousands of years ago, not just to Moses. And with Moses, he was face to face with him. Nobody else had that relationship with God. And he spoke to the prophets and of course he spoke to Jesus when Jesus was here uh and he has definitely spoken to many 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 people throughout the ages, and he still does speak. And so I want everybody to take that away is that if you have not heard God communicating with you, ask him to tell you how he wants to communicate with you. According to Elihu, he says people might not even know he is speaking. So chances are God's been speaking with you and you just didn't know it. And so I just wanted to encourage you to speak with God because he does speak with us. He absolutely talks with us. So we have all these other great things that Elihu talked about, but that is our great big takeaway is that God absolutely does speak to us. So stop and think about God's wonders, as Elihu said. God knows everything, even the right way to communicate with each and every one of us. So I hope that you feel that God has lit your light today and that you are encouraged to spend time listening for how God is going to be speaking with you if you have not already. And if you know how God speaks with you, I'm so glad to know that and uh, encourage others in that as well. It's never enough. We want people to know that our great and amazing God, who knows everything, still takes his time to speak with us. That's why he created us, was to have to be one with us. He has given us his spirit, and we have Jesus, and we are one with Jesus, and we are one with God, and we are one with the Holy Spirit, and that is our shalom. We are made complete in that. And uh, it's so wonderful when he speaks to us and the things that he teaches us through his spirit. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Kindly share this event with someone if you know that they need to hear that God absolutely will speak with them as well. And click that light button that looks like a thumbs up or a heart. And together we will spread the word about reading God's word so that other people can know that God will speak to them too. So have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will be here for everyone again tomorrow.